Today is going to be an update on my season on the Great Lakes Division of the BFL so far on this brand new episode of Co-Angler's Corner. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Pergamue Studios for this episode of Co-Angler's Corner. I'm Russell Olson. Today in the show, like I mentioned, I want to just kind of catch everyone up on how my season's going so far. A few ups and downs, I would say more ups than downs, luckily. Kind of starting out with the first tournament of the season. It was at the end of April, and it was still cold. Wasn't quite as cold as the first tournament last year, but it was still quite cold enough. Bites were very hard to come by. I finished 42nd in the standings in that tournament. Caught a lot of dinks, so I caught fish throughout the day on that first tournament, but so many of them were shorts. I caught my keeper fish on a Ned rig. That rig, I know it's finesse, but that rig is good for getting bites, especially when it's tough. As if you watched the show before, you've probably heard me mention I prefer to be a power fisherman, but so many of these tournaments we catch them after a cold front or like at the beginning of the season when it's really super cold, and that Ned rig gives you a good opportunity to catch them. So like I said, I finished 42nd. Not a bad start to the season. Could be worse. Definitely could have been a lot worse. And then after that, moved on. By the way, that first tournament was in lacrosse. Second tournament this year was also in lacrosse. Basically, that was another tournament where I got my fish on Ned rig. Sure did go through the Ned rigs. Ended up getting them hung up on stuff, but if you're not getting hung up, you're not catching fish. That's just the way it goes. Again, very similar story to the last tournament. Lot of dinks, and like I said, just a good number of fish, but again, a lot of them were shorts. I unfortunately ended up 88th place, which kind of put me right at the bubble at the time. That had left me 45th in the points, so it was right at the cutoff line for making it to regional in Grand Lake, Oklahoma. The tournament I just had last Saturday on the Wolf River chain, I was very happy. We ended up going to Bago. In the morning, in the mornings it's usually pretty calm, so you can run pretty hard, get to where you're going. When we got down to Bago, holy cow, it was already 4-foot rollers. It was, so once we got into the Bago to get to our first spot, that was a rough ride. I mean, I don't care what boat you're running, that would have been a rough ride. But had a good boater. He got us there safely. Caught 2 fish early in the morning. Caught those both on a Senko. I used green pumpkin and white throughout the day. Another story: caught fish throughout the day, but there were several dinks. I had one that I lost about halfway to the boat. He felt really good, but that's fishing. But the ones I were beginning, I actually used a worm hook, an offset hook for. When you can get away with it, I think you actually get better hookup ratios with those. But when it's weedy, I did end up going to a weedless wacky rig hook. Yeah, I was wacky rigging them all day. When I was using my weight Senkos, and I think this helped, there's a there's something I like to do when I'm fishing the Fox, and I figured, I mean, it's a long shot, but Lake Winnebago, the Fox River is connected to that, which obviously connects to Fox Lake. So I thought, hey, why not? So I took one of my white Senkos. I took a red spikenite pen. I drew a red stripe on each side. I think it helped. What got me started doing that was I fished Fox Lake in a tournament, team tournament one day, and one of my partners had a. I don't know if I'd have to look further. I don't know if Yamamoto makes this color anymore, and I don't even remember what the color was called. But it was basically a white Senko with a red stripe on each side. So, you know, obviously I am having trouble finding that color. If I ever find that color, or if someone knows where you can possibly find that color, leave me a comment and leave me a note to where I can get to it, because I definitely like that color Senko. Where I use white, I have a lot of confidence in it. So, as I was saying, I caught my 2 fish on it, or first 2 fish keepers on it. Caught a lot of dinks on it. Excuse me. Actually, one of my keepers, I apologize. One of my keepers I caught was on a green pumpkin Senko. So Senkos were definitely a good call that day. But it was getting close to the end of the afternoon. We fished one kind of a main lake spot. I actually switched up to the drop shot rig. I used the same kind of a, I think it's probably called a salt pepper smoke with a kind of a black stripe along it. It's a robo worm. Use that on the drop shot. It's the exact same setup that I caught my big one on up in Lake Winnebago last year. That 4-pounder that almost got me big bass. I ended up catching another good keeper on that. So I ended up having only 3 fish, unfortunately. But for 513, I didn't expect to do the greatest with that, but I wouldn't believe it. I found out I was 21st place. I was 1 place behind getting a check. So one of these days, I'm going to be getting a check soon. One of these days, that's going to happen. I was so close, but I got home. I looked up the results on Major League Fishing, and I saw $200 next to my name. So I clicked it. I had actually won the Wiley X contingency. So if you guys have the opportunity in the circuits you're fishing to participate in these contingency programs, do it, because you never know when you're going to win it. I was pretty excited. Oh man, and I needed the points bad that day, because like going into that tournament, I was right at the cut line for Grand Lake. So my 21st place finish that day took me all the way from 45th all the way to 24th in the points. So that was a really good points day. It's something I really needed. So that's kind of brings you up to date, so far this season. The next tournament I have is in Prairie du Chien, Pool 10, on August. It's mid-August. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's mid-August. I'm really looking forward to that. Prairie du Chien has traditionally treated me well, so I'm looking forward to hopefully having a really good tournament that weekend. That'd be a really nice push to go into the Super in September, which I need a really good finish in Super to make sure I qualify for Grand Lake, Oklahoma. So that's it for this episode. I want to thank you for watching. If you could do me a huge favor and like and subscribe. If you'd be willing to help me out, I do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/teamsfo. Anything would be helpful and greatly appreciated. So until next time, rest of the season, good luck, and go get 'em.